Welcome to today's news wrap up. Let's dive right into the top stories making headlines today. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker traveled to Mexico to strengthen trade relations with the state of Mexico, commonly known as Edomex. That's right. He's not making Illinois better for American businesses to come in and set up shop. He's doing it for Mexico. This is par for the course for the Democrats. They always put other people, other countries before our own American interests, our United States interests. It makes absolutely no sense. But again, this is par for the course for Democrats. They put other people before their own people. But during his visit, he signed an addendum to Illinois-Mexico sister state memorandum of understanding alongside Governor Delfina Gomez Alvarez. The agreement aims to enhance collaboration in manufacturing, agriculture, and finance, while also focusing on supply chain resilience and advancements in e-mobility and agricultural technology. Pritzker emphasized Illinois' commitment to economic and cultural cooperation, reassuring Mexican partners amid ongoing trade tensions under President Trump's administration. He's undermining President Trump's policies, basically. Critics, including Illinois GOP chair Kathy Salvi, dismissed the trip as a taxpayer-funded junket, questioning its benefits for the state. The visit follows major corporate departures from Illinois, raising concerns about its business climate, and that's what I was just alluding to. You got American businesses fleeing Illinois, but you're helping Mexico. That makes no sense to me. Nina Jankowicz, former head of the Biden administration's Disinformation Governance Board, y'all remember that, didn't last very long, thank goodness, defended the 51 intelligence officials who doubted the authenticity of Hunter Biden's laptop emails. During a House Foreign Affairs Committee's hearing, she argued that the officials were simply exercising their right to free speech when they suggested the emails bore signs of Russian disinformation. No, they weren't exercising their rights as a citizen for free speech. They were using their credentials, their intelligence credentials, to say like, hey, this is Russian disinformation. It has all the hallmarks to try to sway an election. If they would have did it, they wouldn't have never signed a letter if it was just normal, regular free speech. They did it from behind the intelligence badge is what happened. But the Daily Caller News Foundation has verified the laptop's authenticity shortly after the initial claims were made, contradicting the intelligence officials' assertions. Since then, 6 of the former officials were appointed to government roles, sparking debate over their influence. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, recently revoked the security clearances of all 51 individuals involved. Thank goodness for that. Jankowicz previously made headlines for a viral TikTok video in which she sang about disinformation. It was cringe. It was so cringe. And was also known for her participation in a band called Moaning Myrtles. More cringe. Stephanie Garcia Valls, newly appointed Henderson City mayor, this is out in Vegas, fired Police Chief Holly Chadwick just months after taking office, despite the chief's success in lowering crime rates. I thought that's what the police chief's supposed to do. You fire the police chief for doing their job. When confronted by reporters, Garcia Valls dismissed questions, offering vague responses and directing them to schedule an appointment, though she had repeatedly ignored previous interview requests. Residents expressed outrage over the decision, demanding transparency from city officials. Well, Vegas, Henderson County, y'all voted for her. Chadwick, who had refused to resign when asked, was let go without any stated cause, fueling suspicions about internal politics. Garcia Valls has yet to provide a clear justification, leaving the public frustrated and local leadership under scrutiny. The firing has raised concerns over the city's repeated turnover of police chiefs in recent years. Again, you have a police chief that's actually doing their job, getting crime down, and you firing him, and then you're not letting the people know why. That's the strange part. If it was something legitimate, you would think they would let us know. So that leads me to believe that it was strictly political. Ridiculous. A longtime staffer for Senator Cory Booker, Kevin Batts, was arrested on Capitol grounds for carrying firearms without a license. You can't make this up. Cory Booker, you know, the one that wants to take away your guns. He don't believe in the Second Amendment. He don't believe us having a right to bear arms. But then he has people that work for him that carry firearms illegally. You can't make this stuff up. The 59-year-old special assistant and retired law enforcement officer was handcuffed after revealing to the Capitol Police that he was armed. Now, this is a retired police officer, so he knows better, especially to be in D.C. with the weapon like that. Like me personally, I wouldn't step foot in the District of Columbia with a weapon because they are so strict when it comes to guns. I would never step foot anywhere in D.C. with the weapon. And you got a retired cop who's a Democrat working for Cory Booker, who's a Democrat, who want to take away your rights to bear arms. His arrest occurred minutes before Booker began a marathon speech denouncing President Trump's policies, particularly federal workforce reductions. Why do they not want to get rid of the waste and fraud? We have a bloated government, and the Democrats are doing everything they can to keep it bloated. While not technically a filibuster, Booker's lengthy speech aimed to protest administrative decisions, draw criticism from Trump supporters who viewed it as symbolic delay. It's like it's not going to change anything. It's not a real filibuster. Capitol Police clarified that weapons are strictly prohibited on Capitol grounds, regardless of permits held elsewhere. Batts has worked on Booker's team since 2006, and the incident has sparked discussions about security protocols for congressional staff. I mean, it's scary. I mean, he knows he's not supposed to be carrying that weapon. The live action remake of Snow White, which y'all know I've been talking about for years now, since they first announced this ridiculous Snow White movie, has faced a significant backlash on IMDb, issuing a warning about potential review bombing due to an overwhelming number of 1-star ratings. No, people legitimately don't like this movie. I mean, even the critics talked about how terrible it was. So it has nothing to do with a review bombing. It's the film sucked. But critics have described the film as unoriginal and overly reliant on CGI, which some found unsettling and lifeless. Audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes reflect similar dissatisfaction, with the movie underperforming at the box office and struggling to recoup its $270 million production budget. That's just the production budget. That's not adding the advertisement and all that other stuff. You're getting closer to a quarter. It is over $250,000, but almost it's getting closer to a $500 million. But it's already at over $250 million. But it's, like I said, almost $500 million when you total it all. Well, many viewers expressed disappointment, calling it a lackluster adaptation of the beloved 1937 animated classic. When you have a classic like that, you should try to stick to the basics at least, and they strayed from that. And it's always going to piss people off when you have a film that's loved by so many people. The film's reception highlights growing fatigue with Disney live action remakes. I mean, we're all tired of it. We're done. A newly released report shows the FBI imposed a gag order to suppress discussion about Hunter Biden's laptop ahead of the 2020 election. Internal chat messages reveal senior bureau officials actively shut down conversations confirming the laptop's authenticity, instructing agents not to comment on the matter. And the FBI had verified the laptop as real as early as 2019, but officials warned social media platforms about alleged Russian hack and leak operations, leading to its suppression online. Again, They knew it was real back in 2019. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg admitted his company limited the spread of the story after receiving FBI guidance. Former intelligence officials signed a letter dismissing the laptop, I talked about that earlier, as foreign disinformation, allowing the media outlets to undermine its credibility before voters went to the polls. A survey later indicated that I saw upwards to 20%, but 17% of Biden voters might have reconsidered their choices had they been fully informed about the situation. The report has sparked renewed calls for accountability, with critics arguing such actions amount to election interference. During a House Judiciary Committee hearing, Representative Jasmine Crockett emphasized the importance of respecting judicial authority and following court orders, even when disagreeing with them. Listen to this hypocrisy. I mean, every single thing they talk about, they do the exact opposite. Because, however, Representative Darrell Issa highlighted a contradiction in her stance by pointing out her co-sponsor of articles of impeachment against conservative Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. So what's the difference? How come they allowed to do it, but Republicans aren't? Issa argued that this demonstrated a double standard. Of course, it's hypocrisy, as Crockett had previously supported actions that undermined the judiciary's integrity. The exchange underscored ongoing debates about judicial authority and political consistency in Congress. Crockett's remarks and Issa's rebuttal sparked discussions about hypocrisy and the broader implications for the rule of law. I mean, everything that the Democrats say they have done, they have done it themselves. I mean, everything is they're walking hypocrisy. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration attempt to fire intelligence agency employees who previously worked on DEI programs. The ruling by U.S. District Judge Anthony Tringa mandates that effective staffers at the CIA and Office of the Director of National Intelligence remain employed while seeking reassignment. This is crazy. So now they get to tell the judges, tell the executive branch who to hire and fire. Tringa argued that dismissing employees under a reduction in force requires adherence to government regulations and procedural safeguards. The administration contended that the dismissals served national interests, but legal obstacles have delayed the process. Some critics believe judges are deliberately impeding policy changes until Democrats regain control of the House. That's what I believe. The situation reflects broader political tensions over judicial authority and executive power. It's ridiculous. They do not want Trump to get his agenda in. Lastly, President Donald Trump hosted comedian Bill Maher at the White House for a private dinner alongside musician Kid Rock and UFC owner Dana White. Kid Rock revealed that he arranged the meeting, noting Trump initially hesitated, but ultimately agreed as a favor. The dinner proved unexpectedly positive, with discussions ranging from anti-wokeness to border security and even foreign policy topics like Iran and Israel. Kid Rock expressed surprise that Maher had never been invited to the White House by previous Democratic presidents, despite his support for them. After the meeting, Maher reportedly told Kid Rock that his perspective has shifted, indicating the gathering had an impact on both sides. Trump and Maher have yet to publicly comment, but the event hints at efforts to bridge political divides. Well, that's all for today's news wrap-up. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.